Today on Time About the Movies, the Halloween season has come to a close. Not yet in this time period, because we're recording this just a couple days before Halloween, but in 2012 it is, because we are now taking a look at the first of the big holiday releases, and we got some pretty big ones this weekend, including Disney's latest animated feature, Wreck-It Ralph, Denzel Washington starring Robert Zemeckis' latest film, Flight, plus Russell Crowe, Lucy Liu, and the RZA in The Man with the Iron Fist. 3 films to take a look at today, November 2nd, 2012. This is, of course, Time About the Movies.
My name's Wreck-It Ralph.
I'm gonna wreck it!
30 years I've been doing this.
I can fix it!
It's hard to love your job when no one else seems to like you for doing it.
You're just the bad guy who wrecks the building.
I'm okay.
If I'm really honest with myself, it sure must be nice being the good guy.
Ralph, you are a bad guy, but this does not mean you're a bad guy.
I don't want to be the bad guy anymore.
Ralph abandoned his game.
Welcome to Game Central Station.
Bad guy coming!
Everything changes now.
Where's Ralph?
Sorry, Cubert.
It's me, Ralph.
Ralph's gone to hero's duty?
Fear is a 4-letter word, ladies. You want to go pee-pee in your big boy slacks? Keep it to yourself.
Hi, mister. You're not from here, are you?
Sugar Rush?
You're game jumping?
Hey! Ha-ha! You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? Ha-ha! You hit a guy with glasses. That's well played.
Without Ralph, we're doomed.
They're gonna pull our plug.
What's that?
A medal. I earned it in Hero's Duty. Not that kind of duty.
I bet you really gotta watch where you step in a game called Hero's Duty.
Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bag.
We can't change who we are. You can't mess with the program, Ralph.
Some nights I win.
Everyone here says I'm just a mistake.
You ready for this?
What do I stand for?
I'm not leaving you here alone.
Well, let's close out with the bad guy affirmation. I am bad.
And that's good. I will never be good.
No. And that's not bad.
Hold that thought. There's no one I'd rather be than me.
Why do I fix everything I touch?
It's make your mama's proud time.
I love my mama! Oh, good. The cops. Hold still. Ow!
Take that.
What are you doing?
One game at a time, Ralph.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 3 films that make up November 2nd, 2012. And we're starting off with the biggest new release, Disney's latest animated feature film, and that is Wreck-It Ralph. An original concept with a lot of similarities and inspiration taken from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which we'll touch on in just a little bit here. The story of this is that you have the titular arcade game villain, Ralph, played by John C. Reilly, who rebels against his role and dreams of becoming a hero. He travels between games in the arcade and ultimately must eliminate a dire threat that could affect the entire arcade, and one that Ralph may have inadvertently started. And from the premise alone, this movie was already on my hype list, just from the unique premise overall, and the fact that you were getting all these video game cameos in here, which they kind of spoil in the trailer, because a lot of the big ones are in there, and there's no real big surprises outside of the trailer in particular. I mean, you see Cubert in there, you see Sonic, you see Bowser, and you also see Dr. Robotnik, you see Zangief from Street Fighter. I mean, there's no real big surprises once you actually get to the actual film. That kind of hurt the movie a little bit in the marketing campaign, but not the movie itself, because the movie is absolutely amazing. I mean, you know, this and Hotel Transylvania has really saved a very lackluster year for animated movies in general. Now, with that said, there are some flaws to it overall, and they don't really destroy my feeling towards the film, but they do kind of feel like they were pushed in there a little bit there. For one thing, the premise is basically the main character's traveling to a series of different video game worlds, but in actuality, he only goes to like 3 different worlds: Pac-Man, Hero's Duty, and Sugar Rush. I mean, that's it. I mean, I thought it would have been more interesting if we'd gotten to some of the more prolific video games out there. I mean, you got Sonic the Hedgehog, you got Super Mario in here, Street Fighter, House of the Dead. You know, why not explore all the worlds here? I mean, why not just do that? But then again, maybe I thought they were going to do that in the sequel, and then they took the different approach to that. But sequel, they didn't really live up to that promise that they had there. But the sequel had some good things about it. We'll talk about that when we get to 2018. But the other thing I really didn't like is how they kind of teased the villain in this. Because if you watch the movie, you get an idea, and they start talking about how, there's a whole thing about this where, you go to a different video game, and everyone's just like, you're not going Turbo, are you? And what they're talking about is the character of Turbo, who's a character from an old game who is notorious for having jealously sabotaged a newer, more popular game, causing both of those games to be unplugged permanently. And if you listen closely, you could hear King Candy's voice in the character of Turbo it's the same voice actor, Alan Tudyk, who does that voice. And, towards the climax, they're expecting to be, like, shocked when this is like that. This is supposed to be like the Judge Doom moment in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where you're shocked to find out that he's actually a Toon, but not just any Toon, the Toon that killed Eddie's brother. And really, if you watch the movie over and over again, you really can't help but pick up on that stuff early on. I mean, there's no real surprise in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, even though Judge Doom, when you find out he's the one that killed Eddie's brother, I mean, as a kid, yeah, that's terrifying, but in this movie, it's trying to be like that, and when I saw it the first time, I was just kind of like, wow, what a shocker, in a sarcastic tone, because I already kind of knew what they were going to do with that premise all along here. And yeah, I would have liked a better villain reveal than the one they gave us here, but I'll give him credit, though. When he turns into the creature from the Hero's Duty game, that was a good twist I didn't see coming. That was actually pretty intimidating overall, so I'll give it that. Those are the only real main flaws I have with the movie. I thought everything else about it was actually really damn good. The animation overall is very well done. They do an incredible job of both blending the 3D computer animation with the older and newer video game graphics overall. It's very seamless when you really look at it here. The voice casting overall is top notch. John C. Reilly's great as Ralph. I'm glad to see that he has a lot of really good. He's a really good comedic actor. This is a guy that started his career as a dramatic actor, but with this and Dewey Cox and Walk Hard, I mean, he's proven that he's got a good comedy repertoire to him. Sarah Silverman's also really good as Vanellope. I thought she was a ton of fun. Jack McBrayer has a lot of fun moments with Fix-It Felix. Jane Lynch as Agent Calhoun. I love the relationship that Felix and Calhoun have in the movie. Her backstory of how her life fell apart at the altar was the first time was it's tragic, but it's also one of the funniest things in the movie. And Alan Tudyk is a good actor. I like the fact that he's kind of the John Ratzenberger of these movies. Like, he shows up in all these different Disney animated movies as various voices overall, and I think that's pretty interesting overall. The story works very well, and I like the fact that this came from Rich Moore, the director who's known for his work on The Simpsons and Futurama, and also Jim Reardon, one of the writers on The Simpsons, was also one of the writers on this movie. And probably the most interesting thing about this movie is that this is more of a Pixar film than what Disney usually does, which is ironic, because Brave feels more like the Disney princess movie than a Pixar film than Wreck-It Ralph does. Wreck-It Ralph feels more like a Pixar movie than a Disney film does, and it's Brave that wins all the Oscars for Best Animated Feature, and it's just like, come on, man. Wreck-It Ralph is the far superior film. I mean, this was a welcome relief in a slump of very mediocre animated films released this year. This is right up there with Hotel Transylvania. I actually kind of like this a little more than Hotel Transylvania, which really isn't that hard to see why. It's a smartly written film, smartly made, well animated, easily one of the best animated movies of the year, one of the best movies of the year. What more can I say? Wreck-It Ralph is pretty amazing. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Denzel Washington in Flight.
Saving our lives.
You're a hero, man.
Why do we need a lawyer?
You had alcohol in your system.
Does Whitaker know he's going to jail?
It's a lie.
Someone put me in a broken plane.
You said no more.
We can't play around with these people.
This thing so heavy it's killed me.
You think you'd be alive if I wasn't flying that plane?
Flight rated R in theaters November 2nd.
So in the movie Flight, you have an airline pilot played by Denzel Washington, who's an alcoholic. You see it very much in the beginning that he lives a very, very rough life, even though he seems like he's having the perfect life. I mean, in the beginning, he's literally banging one of the stewardesses, which is actually I can't remember who she is. She's the other girl on My Name Is Earl, not Jamie Presley, but now I can't believe I can't figure out the name. She's Catalina on My Name is Earl. She's also on The League, Nadine Velasquez, and you see her in full frontal. Like you see her full frontal naked, and it's just like you look at that, it's just kind of like, I don't know, man. Denzel Washington's living a pretty good life. I mean, if he just gets rid of the alcohol, I mean, he's a swinger, man. But that's not the point altogether. But he's an airline pilot who saves a flight from crashing, but an investigation into malfunctions reveals something troubling, and that's his past overall. He's got an alcohol problem. He has a lot of problems going on behind the scenes here, and yeah, his works overall have been criticized by a lot of people. Robert Zemeckis, though, I think is still one of the best directors Hollywood has ever had. He has a lot of great movies to his name. You know, of course, the Back to the Future trilogy, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Castaway, Forrest Gump, Death Becomes Her. Just so many good movies. I mean, Romancing the Stone, back in the day, even before Back to the Future put his name on the map. I mean, even the animated films he did with the motion capture work, The Polar Express, Beowulf, Christmas Carol, those are all still really good movies. With all that said, though, after Mars Needs Moms, I think it's great that he's getting back to doing what he does so well with these live-action movies, and I think he made a solid return with this movie in particular. This is definitely one of the year's best movies, and it's a movie that, it's the type of movie I like. It's a movie that makes you think, but doesn't give you the cop-out ending where it's just like, you get to decide the ending because we don't want to give you a conclusion to this. Like, I mean, it's a movie that works because it makes you think and makes you ask yourself the question of what would you do in a situation like this. And for Denzel Washington, he needed this one really, really badly. I mean, he started 2 really bad movies back-to-back, Unstoppable and Safe House, and with this, it's great to see him make a great comeback in this. He does a really good job playing the pilot in question. He does a great job playing this guy that you both kind of like and hate at the same time. You like how charismatic he can be, but you also hate the fact that he still drinks very heavily. He still treats people like shit, even the people that are trying to help him out. A cast overall in here is great. You got Don Cheadle and John Goodman, who really elevate the movie to another level, and you know they work really well off of Washington and hold their own overall. One of the issues that I wish they would have figured out in this movie is that how Washington's character could have maneuvered the plane to land it safely. I mean, what if it was because of the fact that the captain was drunk that he was able to land the plane the way he did? I mean, it never brings that up as a possible theory. I mean, maybe they didn't want to do it because they didn't want the message to be like, hey, sometimes you gotta be drunk to be in a situation like this. And, you know, yeah, it's a hard decision to pull off. I get why they didn't do it, but I'm assuming there's a better writer out there that could have pulled it off and make it seem plausible. I would have liked to see that in that movie. I mean, yeah, it would have been something that would have been very, very hard to make without making the argument that drinking alcohol saves your life, like that type of thing. But, I mean, I don't know. That's one of the things that really kind of bugged me ever since then. But despite that, this does have a good conclusion that does end the film and this character's storyline on a reasonable pace that makes sense overall. Like, I mean, he's in a situation where he could get away scot-free with it, but he decides, you know what, my life is shitty as it is, I need help, so I'm willing to go down this to make this difficult decision. And I like the fact that they do that, and it does run at a smooth enough pace where there's no lulls in the storyline, and it does feel like you're in the right situation to do this with this character and this actor overall. This is definitely up there with one of the best movies I've seen this year. I mean, had they explored more into the fact that he was drunk and he was able to land the plane because of that, I probably would have given the movie a better pass overall. But despite that, this is still a great movie overall. Robert Zemeckis' direction is great. Denzel Washington's performance is great. This is basically kind of what would have happened if the movie Hero was fully realized. If you remember Hero, that 90s movie where Dustin Hoffman's playing kind of like the drunken guy who's like, he has no real life settings whatsoever, and then he sees this plane crashing in the river, saves this reporter played by Gina Davis, and nobody knows who this guy was, and they plant a guy in Andy Garcia to be that guy. Imagine that movie, except taken much more seriously and working a whole lot better because you have better people behind the scenes of it. I mean, that's what it kind of reminded me of, sort of. But regardless, this is still a really, really great film. Flight, terrific movie, one of the year's best films, a nice return to form for both Denzel Washington and Robert Zemeckis. So let's go ahead and end the show with our last movie that we have here. The weakest of the 3 films, but not a bad movie by any means necessary. The Man with the Iron Fist.
Kino presents
Warriors! We'll see who's left standing and who's on their knees.
the new legends of Kung Fu.
Some pleasure? Is it business?
You a business. This is pleasure. On November 2nd.
Make some noise.
Talking to where your Ton Sun Chariot, Ton Sun Chariot.
Iron Fist, rated R.
Or seeing it's Russell Crowe in here, the movie should be called The Man with the Telephone Fist, because we know he can throw one of those and hit somebody hard in real life, but, okay. I've never actually I don't think I've ever made a telephone joke about Russell Crowe before. I keep wanting to say Russell Wilson for some reason, but... Set in 19th century China, the story follows a series of lone warriors who are forced to unite and defeat a common foe and save their home of Jungle Village. You also have the RZA, who is also the director of this movie, Lucy Liu, Dave Bautista, Jamie Chung. But they don't tell you in here that this is co-written by Eli Roth as well. So it's a Quentin Tarantino production, co-written by Eli Roth and directed by one of the guys from Wu-Tang Clan. And it's got Russell Crowe in it. It's a movie that is definitely all over the place, but it's not a bad movie overall. I mean, it's a movie that you could see where they're going with what they're trying to do here. You know that the RZA and the Wu-Tang Clan love these old school martial arts films. I mean, they released some of these movies back in the day when DVD was just starting to come into fruition here. And you know, it's a movie where it has a lot of good ideas overall to it, but the execution and the script overall is really where it kind of falls apart. There's nothing new in the scripting department overall. But the performances overall, I thought, were very well done. I thought they did a pretty good job of handling they had a good indication of what to do with this material that they were working with here. And for a $15 million budgeted movie, it doesn't look that bad. I mean, it actually looks very, very well done for the budget that they had to work with here. I just wish that the story had been a lot more inventive, a lot more creative overall. But other than that, though, it's not a bad movie. It's not even the film I would say is one of the worst things ever. It's an ambitious film, but a film that really doesn't have a whole lot there in terms of, you know, creativity to it. I think a really good script overall was what I'm trying to say, that really could have elevated this to something really great. But for what they accomplished here, I thought it was okay. Didn't think it was anything spectacular or amazing. For a one-time watch, I think it's worth it. But other than that, though, one time's enough, honestly. I have no real intentions on going back and watch this one again, but, yeah, overall, that's my thoughts on The Man with the Iron Fist. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies. Then the next time we meet, we'll take a look at two more movies, two more big holiday titles, including Daniel Craig's long-awaited return as James Bond 007 in Sam Mendes' Skyfall, coming out around the 50 years after the release of the first James Bond movie starring Sean Connery, Dr. No. And we also have Steven Spielberg's directorial effort, Lincoln, with Daniel Day-Lewis and an Academy Award-winning performance as Abraham Lincoln. We'll take a look at that film. Two big holiday releases to look at next time around. We'll look at them tomorrow. So, with all of that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.